All right, if we're all ready, this is so great. I'm going to call the meeting of the Town of Atherton City Council to order at 7 p.m. on today, September 18th. And we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Shall we stand? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Lewis,
Present.
Vice Mayor Weiss,
Present.
Councilmember Dobby,
Here.
Councilmember Widmer,
I'm here, even though you tried to confuse me with the changing of the cadence. Okay.
So we have our Assistant City Clerk with us tonight, and our Administrative Assistant Judy Heron recording. So it's our City Clerk is up at the annual League of California Cities Conference. So we have a very fun evening because we have presentations and an introduction, oath of office administered by our Chief of Police, Ed Flint, for Police Officer Daniel Larson. So Ed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and it is a pleasure tonight to introduce Daniel Larson. Daniel, come on up here. And welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel's here tonight with his wife, Meredith, and mother and father, and brother Chris, and I just want to thank all of you for coming tonight. And this is an important event, not only for you, but the community and the department. And we're really pleased to have Daniel with us. And he went through a significant background and trials and tribulations and interviews and you name it. And we're really honored to have you on our team here.
Thank you, sir.
Let me tell you a little bit about Dan. He grew up in San Carlos with his siblings, Jen and Chris. He attended CSU Hayward and has a bachelor's degree in poli-science, public affairs, and administration. Dan was previously a police officer with the University Police Department for the past 4 years, where he was a defensive tactics instructor, an impact weapons instructor, and was a terrorism liaison officer to the university. In his spare time, Dan enjoys martial arts, playing soccer, and spending time with his friends and family. So please join me in welcoming Dan to the town and wishing him success with the Atherton Police Department. So, welcome. Well, the next order of business here is to administer the oath of office, and I'll use the spectacles because this must be in 6 font. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Daniel Larson,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel has asked that Meredith pin on his badge this evening. All right. Thank you, Meredith.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In Atherton, we depend upon our police force. Thank you all for protecting us and putting yourself out there for us every day in harm's way lots of times. From the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful for your service. So we'll open the floor now for public comments. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak, please come forward. While it's nice to know who's speaking, it's not necessary to give your name, but we would like to, have it for the record if you would like to.
Hi, I'm Michelle Lindeman. I'm here today representing Brocade in the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. And I'm here to invite you all to participate in a wonderful community event on Thanksgiving morning. The 9th annual Applied Materials Silicon Valley Turkey Trot. Run, walk for health, hope, and a home. In just the first 8 years, the Turkey Trot has been able to raise more than $3 million for 3 great local nonprofits who serve some of the neediest residents in our valley. The Second Harvest Food Bank of Santa Clara County, the Housing Trust of Silicon Valley, and Healthier Kids Foundation of Santa Clara. This year we expect to have more than 28,000 participants supported by 1,800 volunteers. And we hope to raise close to $1 million. So the Turkey Trot is a really fun community event. It's geared for the whole family. It includes a 5K run or walk, a 10K run, and then there's special competitions within the race. So for instance, there's a kids fun run. There's the Fry's Electronics quickest cop, fastest firefighter competition.
Where are our police officers?
Yeah.
They're the quickest out of the room.
Yeah, they're out training. And then there's the Brocade Mayor's Cup Challenge. And this is where you all come in. And so last year you had 16 participants registered from Atherton community. And this year we hope to have many more. The Mayor's Cup Challenge gives the city points for having your mayor, vice mayor, city council members, city manager, planning commissioners register and attend. So even if you can't attend on that day, if you register, you get points. And you will be competing in the extra small city category with 25,000 or less population against
the extra small. It kind of fits me.
So you'll be competing against cities such as Brisbane, Capitola, Half Moon Bay, Hillsborough, Los Altos Hills, Portola Valley, Woodside. So the winning city or town in each size category will receive the following: the Brocade Mayor's Cup for prominent display in your lobby, recognition at the race and post-race press, and bragging rights for the entire year. So it's a really fun event. We hope you will register and participate and hope to see this on your mantle. I have some flyers and brochures I'll leave here with more information.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a qualifying time for the Mayor's Cup race?
No, it is just purely register and you get points for each participant.
Did you want us to look at the trophy and keep it for a couple days?
Just so that you can really bond with it.
I know you guys can register and earn this.
So do we have any, takers and,
Well, I can help my granddaughter, actually.
So Councilmember Dobby's
He
granddaughter.
has a surrogate. He's bringing a surrogate.
Oh, he's the shoe-in. She's probably really fast.
She won, tell us about,
Thank
she
you.
won the Big Sur Marathon.
50K. 50K.
She's an ultra marathoner. Yeah. She's 50K. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've just run the Boston, so I can participate if I
You can show up
show
and
up.
walk and you will get points. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you. This is a fun deal,
Wow.
and it's really for a good cause.
Nobody has to dress up as a turkey?
No, but there is a costume contest.
Sure.
in-
Bonus points?
Okay, so any other members of the public like to speak? We have one over here, sure.
John Ruggiero, Stockbridge Avenue. I just want to hit on the fact that there are only 4 of you sitting there, and there's only 4 of you been there for months and months, and it'll probably go on for a year. Atherton is behind the times of many things, but we're behind the times of our city to the north, Woodside. Woodside has only a 5,000 population. We have 7,000. They have 7 council people in Woodside. Last month we didn't have a council meeting because we didn't have a quorum. Something was wrong there. Other council members have been out of town, had to speak on the phone. Not just this council, goes back for years. And you don't have to be a charter city to get 7 council members. And as I say, you have, for years, we've had 3 or 4 people running this town in the way they want to. And if you had 7 people of different areas, it really help. But they keep putting this down for years. And why should a small city have this? And Atherton, much larger, supposedly better acclimated to this, doesn't occur. I'm not talking about law enforcement or anything like that. I'm just talking about the members of the council. And even little Portola Valley, who only has 4,000 population, we have 7 plus, has 5 council members. But we should really take into effect the operation of Woodside. Woodside, the mayor is not voted by the public, mayor is the same way appointed this year. But you people, when you want to go on vacation or take a day off, or you can see what's happening here. For a year, 4 of you, if 1 or 2 of you, something occurs, we're in trouble. And it's not a costly item, it's just an item we should keep up with the times of our sister cities.
Any other member of the public like to speak?
Thank you. Greg Conlon, 43 Virginia. I wanted to brief the board on the activities that are occurring at the Board of Supervisors for the county because it's coming to an end, and I just think that the board ought to consider taking a position one way or the other on some of the alternatives that are being provided. And let me give you a couple minutes of background. First, we're the only county in the state that elects Board of Supervisors members county-wide rather than individual districts, of which there are 5 districts in San Mateo County. So the Asian American Caucus and the civil rights lawyers brought a lawsuit against the county indicating that they were being discriminated against, and they had a long suit and they had a long settlement negotiation, and they agreed that they'd back off if the county Board of Supervisors would endorse having an election as to whether it should be district or county-wide. So that was on the November 2012 election, and it passed, which is surprising because it had been defeated several times. So what happened, the Board of Supervisors appointed a commission of 9 people to draw the new lines for the district. They thought it would be appropriate to draw new lines since for the first time they're going to be elected, the individual supervisors by district. So the commission solicited different plans from various parties, and they received 15 plans of how to do it, how to draw the lines. And after probably, they had about 8 or 9 public hearings. After about 7 of them, they decided, the chair and one of the 2 Board of Supervisors and the rest of the committee decided 8-1 that they would protect Pacifica, who was being split in half, and make sure that they were all included in the South Coast area. And by doing that, they eliminated 10 of the 15 plans because 10 of those plans had dissected Pacifica in various fashion. And you know, it was just unbelievable that they would eliminate 10 plans where people have spent a lot of work putting them together on that one decision. So they came up with a criteria that said as long as you can submit new plans, as long as you honor Pacifica and putting them in the South Coast, District 3. And as long as you keep District 1 the majority of the District 1 has to be minorities. And District 5, the majority of District 5 has to be Asian American majority. So we've got 2 districts that will be minority dominated percentage-wise. And then the other 3, they had this Pacific South Coast restriction. So if you want to resubmit those 10 maps that were rejected, then you had to do it honoring those 3 requests. So of the 5 remaining plans, there was only one that was, well, 2 were resubmitted. The same group that brought the lawsuit submitted one, and the Republican Party submitted one. And the honoring those 3 restrictions. So our plan, the Republican Party, which is what I'm working with, filed theirs 2 hours ago because it was due by next Friday and we wanted to get it there in time. But the other one was that lawsuit group will file one more time their plan because it's due by Friday. So there'll be seven maps to be considered next on the 24th by the committee. And they will propose one or all or any portion that to be submitted to the Board of Supervisors for them to make the final decision. So the big issue as far as Atherton is concerned, at least from my perspective, is that right now we are separated from Menlo Park 100%. Menlo Park is in District 4 and Atherton's in District 3. And then, the criteria for establishing a district is that you're contiguous, that you have a community of interest, and that you're not that you're reasonably close together, not only contiguous, but not in a straight line. So recognizing that, all 3 of the plans add portions of Menlo Park to District 3 and Atherton. One plan cuts Menlo Park at El Camino, one plan cuts it at Middlefield, and the Republican plan cuts it at 101 except for a flood property.
So Greg, can you just kind of summarize in another minute about what it is that we should?
Well, I think the risk you run if you're in a district where you have little influence. Otherwise, each district has 150,000 population. So if they put you in District 4, which is dominated by non-Hispanic population, that you would have less influence. So I think the issue is influence. And the issue is we need to be together with Menlo Park because our community of interest is the same. Our schools are the same and everything else. So I'm urging you to support one of those plans. I mean, some of these cities have really become very great advocates in getting their way.
Let me just ask a quick question here. They are going to meet again next week, but the decision is not going to be final at that point.
It will be for the committee.
The committee then will send it up to the Board of Supervisors for the committee. It's the committee's recommendation, and it will go up to the Board of Supervisors.
But I think if you spoke as a community as to what you thought was the right answer, it has a lot of influence. That's all I'm arguing. And I will leave you the documents that were filed today, and I'll email you the ones. I only have one copy for the group today, but I will email you overnight or.
So
we have a problem. It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
We can't take action tonight.
No, we're
The next
not-
meeting, unless you call a special
All right,
meeting.
well, I'll leave it to
it's
you
gonna
on
be
the legal maneuvers of what you do, but I think if you could express yourself somehow,
Yeah.
it would be good.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing us up to date. Thank you. I know that I have been to a couple of these meetings. I don't know if anybody else has, and they really try to do a fair amount of public outreach. I've contacted the mayor of Menlo Park and to see where he's at, and have not connected with him as this afternoon back. So thank you for bringing that up
Thank you for
to
listening.
us. Thank you very much. So is there any other member of the public at this time who would like to say anything? If not, I'm going to close public comments and go to our next agenda item, which is the report out of closed session. And we'll let City Manager Rodericks give the report out of closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The council met in closed session at 6 o'clock this evening to receive an update from its labor negotiator on its negotiations with the APOA, the police union. No action was taken and no action is reported.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is the city manager's report. We'll toss it back to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. There's not a lot in the report to comment on, although I did want to mention the CCAC meeting that was held, the public workshop that was held on the 17th. We had nearly 50 residents in attendance. It was very well attended, got a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of, the city attorney just found a sticker from last night where people did a sticker exercise where they posted things that they liked, posted things that they didn't like, and sent out an email today on the news flash, kind of giving the community an update, so you can look for that on the website. And I wanted to mention some of the upcoming dates, just for the record, for the video that we have this evening. On September 24th is the next meeting of the CCAC. There is a series of neighborhood meetings that will begin occurring on October 28th, 29th, 30th, possibly November 2nd, and one following that. And the next major public workshop will be on December 11th. But throughout that entire time frame, there will be CCAC meetings, city council meetings, where this issue will be talked about, and the public is certainly welcome to attend any of those as well. That concludes my report.
Does any member of the council have any comments on the city manager's report? Okay, so I have one. I note that you've got CCAG committee vacancies
Yes.
listed, and I was at the CCAG meeting earlier this week, or last week, and I was notified that I am on the Congestion Management and Environmental Quality Committee.
Congratulations.
Yes, I could. And so Sandy Long let me know that. And so so that one's filled. So does any?
I was gonna apply for that.
I thought you
That's
should.
the only one I wanted.
Well, I thought you wanted the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
We're fighting.
I've already got another one here. How can I split my time?
Well, why wouldn't that just add to your, bevy,
I'll look into it.
bounty of
I'll
knowledge?
look into it, and I'll consider it and advise yourself and city manager.
Okay.
Okay, but I did want yours, and I'm
You want
sorry that
mine?
you took it. I'm
I'll
sorry
be
that
happy
you
to
took
give it to you.
No, that's all
Are
right.
you sure?
You ruined it for me now.
I can't do that?
Too
There's
late.
no trading, no trading of committee assignments,
Okay,
okay.
I'll tell you, you're always taking the best things.
I just cherry picked it right out of your hand, right? Okay, the other thing I do, since it is on your, the Selby School funding request, I just want to highlight this, that Selby Lane School is within our town boundaries. It is a Redwood City Unified School District school. Many of our residents are in that school district to send their children to that school. They are requesting some financial support from the town of Atherton for their library and IT services in the amount of $30,000. And I am wondering if this could be funded by the library fund, Donor City Library Fund portion that we have.
We've looked at that before.
I know that on November 4th, I was at the library JPA meeting last week, and November 4th is the next meeting, and there is going to be a study session meeting with the library JPA attorney to discuss the definition of the donor city funds and possibly clarification and more understanding about what other uses that the cities who do have donor city funds can use. And I just want to, that is scheduled.
Well, I don't have it finally scheduled for the October meeting, but since you're having a study session at the JPA level on November 4th, it might make more sense for us to move that out until we hear back from that
Yeah.
committee.
The last time we looked at this, Councilmember Carlson was very much for taking library funds to go to schools. And we got a definite no from the JPA.
Well, I've been on the JPA for a year now, and earlier in the year, the entire JPA board was very amenable to holding this study session to define the use of donor city funds. There are only 3 cities in the JPA that have them, and but everybody else felt that, you know, the way the JPA agreement is written, it's a little bit nebulous and could possibly be better defined. And if they decide, if the board decides, then, you know.
Do we know how many Atherton residents attend Selby Lane School?
I don't think that's the issue.
Well, I think it's a reasonable question.
There's only one.
There's one, yes.
Yes, and the schools do have their own tax base, which, by the way, is greater than ours, and so I think that there's, my conversations with the city manager with regards to this specific thing was that, you know, without even doing a lot of discussion, there are things that the JPA funds would allow to do with not just Selby Lane schools, but all schools, including having a lending library that would go over there. There would be Atherton Town books, you know, but they could be, you know, loaned over there. They could be brought over periodically, have the bookkeeper, have the bookmobile go over there, have a librarian go over and work with people. So there are things that could be done, but I think it's up to having a little bit more discussion on it. But I also would say that, you know, these are taxpayer dollars that I know that the Selby Lane School District does include certain parts of Atherton where we have residents who are paying taxes get in there, but there is only the one student, and I think that we need to take that into consideration too. We don't know how much money we're going to need for you know, for the library building and the other aspects of the community center, and I also think that there are other opportunities that the library should look into with regards to, you know, expanding library type functions in the town, and some of those include, you know, buying more books and books on tape and downloadable books, and I spoke to the city manager about some of those other things too, and I'd like him to explore some things with me.
Lots of ideas.
Right, okay.
There's lots of ideas.
But it's not on the agenda.
Yes, it's not on the agenda.
Yeah,
so,
we look at Menlo Atherton. They do not have a record of spending the money wisely. They have a lot of money and they've wasted a lot of it.
I think that once the study session's done and we get some information related to the study session, we can have a complete discussion related to it. Until then.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Sure. All right. So our next item on the agenda is a presentation from the Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance, Executive Director John Ford. And I am on that committee also, and I know that. I've been on the committee for several years.
Exactly. It ties nicely with your other CMAC. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is John Ford. I'm Executive Director of the Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance, which is probably the most poorly named agency in the county. A lot of people know us as the Alliance or commute.org. So I'm going to just take a few minutes of your time tonight. I promise I won't stay up here too long. If I do, just throw something at me. So I'm going to give a quick overview of the Alliance, talk a little bit about our programs, the tools that we use, talk about our work plan, and then wrap it up and make sure I save some time for any questions that you might have. We are San Mateo County's Transportation Demand Management Agency, which immediately glosses people's eyes over and says, what is that you do? Well, our major objective is to get people out of their cars and onto those trains, onto buses, and onto alternative transportation modes. We do it to make sure that the traffic flows and the air quality is good and that business flows within the county. That's really what we're tasked with doing. We are a public agency. We are funded through almost 100% grant funded. I'll talk a little bit about that when I show you our budget numbers. We represent 17 cities and the county. So my board of directors are actually 18 elected officials, including Mayor Lewis. Rich Garbarino from South San Francisco is our chair. Jeff G. from Redwood City is our vice chair. We also have somewhat of a unique structure in that we have a supervisory committee which is comprised of city staff members, approximately 8 of them from different parts of the county that I report to or work with on a monthly basis, and then on a quarterly basis we work with our board. Susan Kennedy is currently the chair. She'll be retiring from the supervisory committee at the end of this year. The Alliance staff is 9 people in total. We're split into 3 departments, but it's such a small group that we're crossing over in each other's departments and working with each other all the time. So we do employer outreach, we have a shuttles group, and then we have a group that works with our commuters. This is our the funding pie, and you'll see that about 56% of our budget is actually dedicated to our commuter shuttles, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But of that funding, about 75% of that comes from grants that we get from the Transportation Authority, and then the 25% match comes from the work that we do with working with the local employers, the cities, property developers, property managers, and so forth that help contribute to those shuttles. So the employers, typically the smaller ones are the ones that we're working with, small to medium-sized ones that are contributing to those shuttles to offset the grant funding. The rest of our funding comes from a variety of sources, including the TA, CCAG, and the MTC. And again, all of that is grant funding, annual basis. We have to reapply for it every year, and our work plan gets approved every year in order to be able to support the program of work that we do. So our program of work was split into 3 primary areas. We work, program area 1 is where we work directly with our employers in the county. And that's all employers, regardless of size. It can be school districts, it can be municipalities, it can be private employers, public employers. And we work through the employers, and that's probably the most effective thing that we can do because that gives us leverage to work through those employers, those coordinators, and out to all of their employees. But we're also tasked with making sure we do outreach to the community and all the commuters within the community, because we can't forget about them, because a large percentage of people that live in San Mateo County or commute to or through San Mateo County don't work for one of our local employers. They work outside of the county, so we need to work with them as well. And then the third area that we're tasked with working with is all of the various partners that we have in the county, whether that's the Transportation Authority, Samtrans, Caltrain, BART, the ferry systems, anybody that has anything to do with transportation in San Mateo County. We end up sitting at the table with them trying to work on all these mitigation issues for traffic and congestion relief. I like this slide because it shows the ferry. Those of you who haven't had a chance to ride the new ferry out of South San Francisco, you really ought to do it. It really is, not only is it great transportation, you might not want to go over to take it over to Oakland or Alameda, but they still are running a midday service that'll take you up to San Francisco and at least one more day of America's Cup racing. We hope more, but at least one more day you can take the ferry that runs up there. It's actually a Wednesday, Friday service. But this is our website, and this is the commute.org website. This is where we have over 10,000 people a month come and visit that site, looking for all the different information that we provide about commuting into and through San Mateo County and all the incentives and all the types of things that we do. We also link from here to all of the other major agencies that we support. So the 511 system is linked through here. Again, Samtrans, Caltrain, the ferry, and so forth. And this is a big place for a lot of our people where they come, who are riding our shuttles. This is their transportation connection. That's one of our shuttles. That's probably what you see, the commute.org, if you're driving past any of the transit stations in the county or even on 101 and so forth, you'll see our shuttles all around. We have 22 routes that we manage. Last fiscal year, during our year, we've had over 457,000 boardings of our shuttles. Some of them are very, very busy. 95% of our shuttles are commuter shuttles only. They run in the morning and they run in the evening commute. They don't run during the middle of the day, and we don't pay for them during the middle of the day. Some of them get repurposed and get used for community shuttles in the midday, but those are not managed by the Alliance. I mentioned before how it's funded by a lot of these different organizations. Yes, the majority of it comes out of public funds, out of Measure A money. However, getting those employers involved and getting property managers, what you'll find is a lot of the properties, what they'll do is they'll use providing the shuttle service to attract and retain the tenants in their properties. The same thing's happening with all the employers. If you're not providing those shuttle services, like the Googles and Genentechs and Facebooks and people like that, you need to be able to join into consortiums like ours to provide that same services to your employees. Ridership was up 13% last year, 16% just in the fourth quarter. That's because the economy's picking up. The more the economy picks up, the better our shuttles do, the more of a service we can provide. the more people we can get off the road. Again, when we go to our employers, we're not trying to tell the CEOs that they have to get out of their cars. We just want them to help encourage their employees and provide incentives to their employees for them to get out of their cars so the CEOs can drive to work more quickly. So what kind of tools do we use? We have a variety of tools in our toolkit, and depending on who we're talking to and what we're talking to, we use these things. So we promote public transit and do free tri-transit tickets. We promote carpooling, van pooling. We have a program called Emergency Ride Home, so people that take transit to work during the day, if they get stranded or have an emergency they need to get home for, we pick up the fare, the taxi fare to get them back to their home. So the types of things that you can use to encourage people to get out of their cars. We tell people, don't be an SOV, which is a single occupant vehicle. And so that's what we're trying to encourage. However we can do that, that's what we try to do. Also promoting bicycling, walking. We're also the Bike to Work Day coordinator for the county. And as you can imagine, the demographic that we're targeting is a younger, more mobile workforce that is pretty receptive to what we're talking about. But we have to go after them with all the social media components, all the types of things I'm sure that you hear about in your both here in the town of Atherton and in your private lives. We're using that heavily, and that's really working. Over 50% of the people that have visited our site last month visited it on their smartphone. And so we have to keep doing that because that's the demographic that we're targeting. They're pretty receptive to getting out of their car. The last slide I have for you just talks about our work plan. This is what we're doing in the current fiscal year, which started July 1. In the employer outreach area, Senate Bill 1339 was a bill that was signed into law in 2012, and it mandates that all employers with 50 or more employees anywhere in the 9-county Bay Area must provide some type of pre-tax commute benefits or alternative commute plan to their employees. That's going to go into effect January or February probably of the new year. And so our team is tasked with going out to all the employers in the county that might have that 50 or more across the total 9 Bay Area county and make sure that they have something in place that helps them meet that mandate that's going to be in place. It's going to only be there for a 2 or 3 year pilot project, but it's going to be mandated and required. And so that's something that we work with